So it's 2 minutes past. We can get started. And I think Steve Taylor, thank you again for filling in, talking points. So for people who are new, especially Abhijit, since you're attending this for the first time, there's a link for the agenda and meeting notes in the invite. Please go and add your name to the attendees list, and then we'll walk through and talk about things listed here. If you feel that there isn't an item being discussed, please add it to this, and then either we'll talk here or suggest an alternative location to do that.
Yep. So the first thing is for Abhijit to introduce himself as a new member.
Yep.
So if you could just give us a quick background, where you're from, what you're interested in, and more so what time zone you're in.
Yeah,
Hello,
so am I audible? Am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
I'm Abhijit. I'm from India. I work at UTC plus 5.5 hours. So that's my time zone. I am currently a university student. I'm an undergrad university student, and I'm currently pursuing computer science. I'm really interested into open source, and I came across the open SSF community because of the security issues which open source faced. I wanted to contribute, and I found this project.
Great, welcome aboard. I have another project I work on, Ortelius, and we have a few university students as well. So let us know how we can help you, and let us also know what your university schedule is, because we don't want to take away from your any of that work as well.
Oh, so about that, the university timing and the meeting timings are totally 12 hours different, because the meetings are in California time and my school is in Indian time. So it really fits in well.
What time is it there now? Like midnight?
Yeah, it's 11:30 p.m.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for staying up so late to come to this meeting.
He's just waiting for the parties to get started. Don't kid yourself.
There you go. All right. Welcome aboard. And and thank you for making some of your first pull requests out there.
Yep. Thanks for reviewing them, and I'm glad to be here.
So Steve, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say that a few of us have not met David. Hey, David, can you say hi to the team and tell a little bit about yourself? I know we have met a few times.
Yep. Hi to the team. There we go. Have I met my requirement? David Wheeler, I work at the Linux Foundation. My title tells me I'm the Director of Open Source Supply Chain Security, but basically it just means that I focus on how to develop, distribute open source software in a way to counter the attackers. So anything that helps in that area is of interest to me, and we are trying to make the attacker's life painful and hard.
Cool. Thank you.
So Stephen, do you want me to do the next part, or Sahindra, or?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Steve. You can do it.
So the OpenSSF TAC meeting was yesterday. Just a couple of highlights is the TAC voted to add the GNU tool chain as a project, and they're asking about.
No, stop. The GNU tool chain infrastructure. Man, you are going to get hacker news all over everybody if you say it that way. We are not taking over the GNU tool chain, and this was said over and over again in that meeting. So let me counter that. Thank you.
No problem. I was going to get to clarifying that, but
I'm worried if you even that first sentence is going to get us in trouble.
Okay. So the main part was to modernize the infrastructure that GNU is using to do the builds and make it more secure. Some of the interesting kind of things on their to-do list was to change up some of the the way the compilers and linkers work to kick out like SBOMs and SPDX records and things like that. So, and more than likely get into some of these, signatures and trust parts of that. And then the other thing, we did try circling back around to get a follow up on an action item that the TAC had about our checklist for us becoming an incubating project. That's still in work in progress. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll have that checklist to see what we have left on our to-do list.
Yeah, and one thing stopping them from bringing this or creating this was the TAC was undergoing change, but now the new TAC has been elected. So now that we have brought it to their notice, we'll see some action there, and we'll have next discussion in the next TAC meeting.
Yeah. So one last thing is they just had their new board get voted in, so that just happened in the last week. So we're in this weird transition period for next couple days.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Stephen.
Quick. The TAC is the Technical Advisory Committee. Basically, it's it oversees the various initiatives, the working groups, and the top level projects from a technical perspective. Quick note. As far as the TAC votes, technically, what we've had right now is the community. The governing board gets a couple seats. That's to be determined. Those seats haven't been decided yet because they wanted to find out who the committee voted in first. Typically, they look for things like, can we get more diversity and that sort of stuff on a board. So we know at least who four of the 7 seats are.
Yeah, I had a quick question about that, David. So I missed the board meeting. 6 a.m. is not my prime spot, but
I can't imagine. Carry on.
But did you guys talk about the board, about the TAC seats in the board meeting, or because the election hadn't occurred yet, it wasn't even a topic?
Careful. Do you mean the governing board meeting or the TAC meeting?
The governing board meeting.
Okay. Yeah, I was at the governing board meeting. I'm on the East Coast, so I don't see what this problem is with 9 a.m. meetings. It's just not a big deal. Yeah. So I mean, I'm trying to remember. I mean, the TAC vote. I don't think it had.
Yeah, I don't think the TAC vote had finished by the time the board meeting.
Yeah, so I don't think it was discussed because they wanted to wait until they found out who was voted through. I think technically the vote had ended, but it's like just before, so we didn't actually know the
Okay, and is the plan to do it via email or to wait till the next board meeting in a month?
The play. Well, okay. That hasn't been formally posted, but I can tell you what's going on. I mean, basically, the plan is to try to do this via email electronically.
Okay.
The governing board can do things either way, but it's a whole month.
I know it's a long time to wait.
It's a long time to wait, and there's no need for that. I think what we're going to actually do is the governing board only gets a few seats. If the governing board thought that they're going to have a rep for each org, that's just not going to work. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to propose a few more folks for representing the governing board, based primarily on who was close in the voting election but didn't go through yet. I haven't seen that email yet, so there may be some tweaks, but I think that's the idea. Is that
that makes sense. I mean, there were a bunch of folks who were in the election who it's like, oh, this person obviously deserves to be part of the board, or part of the TAC, but it was just too few seats.
That's right. I mean, it was incredibly competitive, and there were a lot of really awesome candidates. So I think that's probably what's going to be proposed. In the end, of course, we as on the Linux Foundation staff, we don't decide what the governing board decides. We can make a proposal, and then the governing board makes the final decisions.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the update, David. I was
Sure.
just curious because it also affects the time frame for when we can get this process ironed out for new projects.
Yeah, and
We're just running. We're not waiting.
Yeah, but I don't think you have to endlessly wait for them to. I mean, you can propose and say, hey, let's do X, and and here's rationale. But excuse me. But okay. Anything else? Questions? I mean, I'm starting to get off topic here for your original question. All good?
No. That was good. Thanks, David.
Yeah. And for the GTI, I think the reason was we suddenly recently found out that they were in, for various reasons specific to their project, they were suddenly in a rush. We need formalization of this, or they were going to lose some people. So I think there was wait a minute, we gotta hurry up here. So and
yeah, no, I think that's a good project as well to kind of push things forward, right? So it's a good example of something which aligns with the vision, has a critical short-term need. They're basically ready to go with infrastructure, and we talked about some of the TAC call, but I think there's also a good opportunity for us to collaborate on what we're doing for Pyrsia with their distribution of the new toolchain infrastructure.
Right. And I don't want to go into details here, but I do know that somebody else looked into the GNU toolchain's current infrastructure. And let me just say they didn't like some of the things they saw. It's really old. It's been held together with packing tape and duct tape, and it's just it's not what you would hope to see for something as super important as it is, and just widely depended on. So it's time.
Cool.
Yeah, and it'll be an exciting project to get that moved across and see what they're doing. And like Stephen was saying, being able to collaborate with them and with some of our ideas, with some of their ideas, to kind of pull all this together and make the whole world a little more secure. So moving on, our architecture group, last week there was a note nobody showed. I think it was just a calendar issue that we had. I think we have the calendars sorted out with the meeting invites and all that stuff. So just keep posted for that one. I know it seems like a lot of meetings for the JFrog folks, but this is really to loop in people that are not on the daily stand up and bring in new ideas that we may get some tunnel vision from ourselves that other people can shed light on that front. With that, we'll just move on to the outreach and marketing working group. I wasn't there last week. If somebody could pick this one up and just kind of give a summary of what happened there.
Yeah, so I created a Pyrsia community channel, which I meant to be outreach and marketing and all those kinds of fun activities. Is that a good name?
Yeah, I think that would work.
Okay, so yeah, we can discuss community related stuff there.
So I can give the updates on the website if you want.
Yes, please.
And then when I say me, I think Chris. So Steve did a great job of skinning up the site, and now Chris is taking what we currently have. If you go to Pyrsia.io, and reworking the content to be more focused on attracting contributors based on his UI UX experience. Next week, we are meeting in person. Some of us are, which is cool. And we will hopefully have a film crew there on Friday. We're still in the talks with getting the proposal finalized. And from that, we hope to garner two videos, one corporate, which has sort of longer interviews with Stephen Chin and Fred Simon. And then we'll have shorter ones that are more like kind of the B-roll of people working together, and then sort of snippets from the people in the room telling us why they're contributors and why you should contribute to Pyrsia. So like when we do launch this, we have sort of like both sides of the fence kind of attracted. The corporate side for looking for funding and additional partners, and then the contributor side looking for people to actually work on the project. And then Chris, if you want to talk a little bit about where you're at in terms of the site.
Yep. So I am a visual thinker. So I've been working on the content, but I find myself trying to write content for a layout. So I've been working a little bit on both sides of that. And if anybody wants to see some screenshots, don't hesitate. I got most of the landing page the way I want it, and Steve Taylor wrote a ton of content. So trying to go through all that, see what we have, and trying to get myself inspired from some other projects. So I should be good for hopefully by the end of the week to share the content that I have written.
And just remember, Chris, you can demo your new site locally to us before you even have to do a PR.
I have it right next to me if you want to see it, but we can do that offline if you like.
Offline, just down the road. But when you get closer.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, scroll down, Sahindra, and see what else we have next on our list.
Yeah. So there is a CFP for CDCon, and I think there are dates here. So if you're interested in submitting, this week would be an amazing time for you to spend time and submit. Because
and just remember for call for papers that it's really just the first couple of paragraphs to get yourself chosen, and then you can work on the content. So you don't have to have the content done before you submit for a proposal.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think this was what we discussed last time, Steve. Basically, now that you have the process ironed out and figured out how the recordings go on YouTube, etc., we just need to document it so that you don't end up being the only person and doing it. And yeah. So moving on to interesting projects. I think this was what was discussed yesterday in the TAC meeting, and I think Shopify is using Sigstore for Ruby Gems, so a lot of excitement around that. So this is kind of a interesting thing for us because we are in the same space. So just things to learn about how they are doing it. What are the things we can leverage? Are there overlaps?
Yeah, it was interesting to look at their proposal on how they're planning to use Sigstore and how they're going to fit it into the Ruby Gen process. So it's going to be, I would have advised to take a look at it. There are a lot of comments going back and forth because it is kind of like a PR. But if you weed through it all, I think it'll give us some insight what they're doing. The next one, the Git bomb. Yeah. That one, one of my folks from the Ortilia side found that one. It's just a Git repo right now. There's no code behind it, but they do have some interesting ideas of what they're trying to accomplish there. So we'll be able to look at that and kind of see their thought process and the angle that they're coming from a source code perspective.
Yeah.
So
and it is interesting
on as well.
Yeah, it is interesting the problem they're trying to solve if you reflect and put it back on the salsa framework, like which areas are they taking up and which areas Pyrsia will come in and which areas will other projects help. So just because in the end, we have to solve all the issues that are in that salsa framework so that our supply chain is actually secure.
Yeah. Okay. And then just any new action items that we have. I know we have some old ones that we may be able to check off our list, but
I think some of these are still in progress because this is what Laurie's update was. And I think we talked about this last week, Steve, and offline as well. Yeah. And we are just waiting on blogs to be in a place where we can promote them before we put them online. So right now this is kind of on hold. Yeah. And this is an open item. This is like anybody who wanted to build a video log of how things are on Pyrsia as we move along, then that is something that we should keep on doing.
Yep. And let me see. I think that was the main stuff. Yeah. Oh, any updates on the Stephen on the copyright stuff or the trademark from LFX?
Yeah, so unfortunately this is blocked on us getting to be some project status, either incubating or something along those lines. I did ask about like what resources or stuff we could do, and Brian said that until we get some sort of status, he couldn't commit any legal resources for this.
Okay, that was kind of my guess of feeling what was going to happen there as well. Okay. Anybody have anything else? Oh, just one other quick reminder. It's kind of in the crossed outs there, but we did get the daily stand up on the OpenSSF calendar. It is using the same Zoom link that we're using today. We're trying to minimize different Zoom links across all the meetings and just using the same one. So if you can't find a meeting that you know is happening on your calendar, just pick up an old meeting invite with the old Zoom link, and that should work for you. All righty, we get out of here 8 minutes early, unless anybody else has anything else that I'm missing. Sahindra, Stephen?
No, I think this is good. Yeah, we covered everything critical. Very glad to have Abhijit joining us. It's exciting to have our first team member in India and getting some university students interested in the project. And yeah, thanks everyone for joining the call.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care, everybody.
All right, talk soon,
Bye.
guys. Thanks.
Later.
Bye.
2 minutes.
Thank you, people.
Thanks, bye.